Hey guys, this is Kelly with Lone Star Land. I'm the Texas land agent. Hopefully you've at least seen something I've done in the past, but my job today, my goal was literally just to kind of answer one big question that obviously is on everyone's mind. I've heard a few times, and probably in news media you've heard as well, that I'm going to wait to purchase land, that I'm gonna potentially time the market, and when prices come down to a level that I think it's gonna stop and not come down anymore, I'll buy right then. And then as they go up, I'll enjoy that appreciation. And while that is obviously a personal decision, and I would not try to tell you what you should or shouldn't do with your personal finances, as the guy who's got to answer those questions when you come in and ask me why pricing is what it is and why it's more than it was last year and why you can't seem to find the 10 acres that you want with the amenities that you want them, few things you want to consider when you're looking to time the market. For one, are you going to do that? And so fundamentally, will you have the cash for your down payment set aside in liquid so it's not at risk and potentially could be spent on other things and or depreciate or come down based on if it's in the market? Additionally, pre-approval, do you know what you're shopping for, where that price point is? So if you're trying to wait for prices to come down 20%, can you afford that? Is that even in your budget, in your wheelhouse? Could you qualify for that property at that time? And then additionally too, people kind of think like, oh, if the prices come down, then I'm gonna be able to afford more. Maybe. And one of the reasons for that, if you are planning on financing it, for about every point of interest, so what percentage of interest, you lose about $12,000 in purchase power. And so if the price comes down 10,000, but the interest rates go up 1%, you should have bought a year ago. Anyway, so another thing too, when it comes to pricing, a big one that I'm a huge fan of what the Texas A&M real estate department does. They have these humongous graphs that span back decades and have all the data on sales price and valuation throughout Texas, broken up by region. So for a nerd like me, it's a lot of fun to go back and look at that. The one thing that I would share from you with that, from their graph, I think there's a couple of big moments, right? So if I'm looking to time the market, and if I say I want to wait for pricing to hit the point that I'm comfortable with, there's two big moments. One, Black Monday. Some of you will remember, I barely do, 86, 87, when the stock market around the world essentially collapsed. One might say the domestic market died, which is figurative, but there probably were some people on Wall Street that did. It was a very traumatic time. Prices came down dramatically, businesses went out of business, and Texas real estate takes a small dip and levels out for essentially a decade after that. So again, where would you time it? Were you going to buy it right here, right then, when you had no other money and banks weren't lending, and you might even look at getting a loan from a bank that was going to go out of business, that maybe that TARP wasn't going to come in there like it did in 08, which is the other big moment. So in 2008, again, the housing crisis shocks the world worldwide. Bank of America almost goes out of business. I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys. Citibank, I think, had to get a loan from the US government with TARP. So this is a moment where we all thought that the world could potentially collapse. Like, I remember buying into the stock market, and it's like I think NASDAQ's at 7,000 or something like that at that time. In Texas real estate, comes down 10%, hangs out, and then just hockey sticks back up over the next decade. So again, if you're gonna time the market, would you have the ability to not only know that that was the bottom, but buy right then, right there? And if you wouldn't, the only thing I would caution you is don't think that you're an expert planning to time the market. If you want property, if you are looking for a place to live or a weekend place to get away to, the right time to buy is when you're ready. Trying to know what's going to happen macroeconomically and who's going to be at war with whom and how it's going to affect the local markets in Texas. Based on the graph, looks like it doesn't matter. Based on your personal situation, maybe it does. But again, do what you got to do, what you feel comfortable with, what works for you and your family. But if you do want to purchase, I'm happy to help. Please reach out. Thanks.